Beatty, Leona Rohansky, and Edward Mealy. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, that's right. 3.02, Clerk Pro Temporary Resolution.
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby appoint Sharon McDonough, Clerk Pro Tempore, in the absence of the District Clerk for the meeting of November 21st, 2022.
Motion, Peggy, second, Mr. McFarland. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Sharon, for doing a fantastic job, because you come in on Saturday to get the agenda set. So I really appreciate it, all your work you did. Thank you. 3.02, public comment on agenda items. As I said, please sign up with the district clerk if you want to speak on any agenda item, and I will call upon you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to listen to public comment. Although the state law does not require to hold a comment period, we have chosen to do so because we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns and issues. The board is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed to be a debate or dialogue. Please do not expect the board to respond to your concerns and questions tonight. We take concerns and questions seriously and want to have sufficient time to process and research issues, if need be. Any questions from the public should be submitted through the use of the public comment form, which may be obtained online or at the desk with the district clerk. We have the property staff member to get back to you as appropriate. I also want to point out that under state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to address any comments or questions about specific students or school personnel. We would ask you to go to the appropriate administrative channels. A total of 30 minutes at the beginning of each board meeting is set aside to allow for public comment on agenda items only. Public comment at the beginning of the meeting is limited only to the items on the agenda. Persons who wish to participate in the public comment portion of the meeting are asked to provide their name and a specific agenda item about which they would speak. A sign-up sheet is located, as I stated, on the desk with the district clerk. Individual comments on the agenda items limited to 3 minutes and, of course, are welcomed. If you wish to address items related to our school district that are not on tonight's agenda, another comment period is provided at the end of the meeting for that purpose. A second sign-up sheet is available for non-agenda items. In the interest of civility and respect for different points of view, clapping, booing, or any disturbance or disruption, either during the public comment period, is not permitted. At this time, comments related to agenda items are welcomed. Anyone? Anyone? All right. Seeing none, Superintendent report 4.01. I'm sorry, communication, I apologize. 3.04, communication announcement received by the Board of Education. Any announcement? Cheryl?
I just want to say that it was very moving to see how the students in our buildings observed Veterans Day last week. I was able to be there for the John Jay ceremony Thursday morning and the dedication of the plaque for Major Trabuco here on Thursday afternoon. I also hear there was a wonderful ceremony at RCK in the morning. It's also a great week where a large number of students were inducted at John Jay into the Mu Alpha Theta Math Honor Society. They were recognized for their hard work. And I also want to say that along with Trustee Sloshower and Trustee Johnson, I attended the performance at Ketchum last weekend of She Kills Monsters. And I want to say that the acting was superb and the sets and props were just absolutely amazing. The students worked very hard.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, the Veterans Day commemorations were very moving, and the students are get there early to put out flags, and the whole thing was very respectful, and it was very is every year is a tribute to our students and our veterans. I also had the opportunity to attend the Gold Award Project dedication, Girl Scout Gold Award Project dedication of little libraries at Sheaf Road and Vassar Road schools. This was done, they were completely original. If you haven't seen them, go see them. Such creative students, and to do them each one individually and to make books available for everyone to take. So please do go take a look at them. And I also had the opportunity to see the play at R.C. Ketchum on yesterday, She Killed Monsters. The students worked very hard and their enthusiasm, both in the audience and the performers, was very impressive.
Eddie?
Just want to, thanks. Just want to add one other item. This past week, WAP Junior here had Career Day, which was a great morning with Trustee McFarland, as well as Trustee Miggets and Trustee Johnson. And then Mr. Lumia came a little bit later.
For some reason, they always forget Lumia. That's okay.
Well,
they do it on purpose.
but I know that you like to end the
I know the end,
agenda.
but there's food
You like
there.
to end the agenda item, and I don't like to step on your toes when you announce your whereabouts throughout the district. But that was a great day, and let's thank all of our local businesses for coming out. It was a very diverse group. Dutchess County was here for potential civil service jobs. I mean, we had the local barbershop to come down, from a cosmetology standpoint. We had so many different small businesses here, and it's very good to kind of have, the opportunity for, we always talk about having the high schools, with Career Day, but starting off at the junior high is very important for kids to kind of start to figure out a little bit early what they might want to be interested in and understand that there are so many other opportunities out there. And again, as we continue to expand on our vocational opportunities and partnering with the local businesses, I think is a very good, a good shout out to Principal Thompson and everyone else who was involved in setting up Career Day for the kids here at WAP Junior. So thanks.
Anyone else? Looks like it's my turn now, right? Again, I'd like to congratulate the 59 students from John Jay who were inducted into Mu Alpha Theta Honor Society as Michelle Miggets. It's quite an honor to speak to them. I mean, these are incredible students. I also want to congratulate all the actors who performed in the play She Kills Monsters. It's amazing how they can memorize those lines and they didn't make one little mistake. They're incredible. To me, it's amazing to have that ability. I also want to thank the responsible for the Career Day here at Wapajuice Junior High. I also like to thank Principal Kazalawa, Mr. Sipe, as well as Mr. Terrence, who's back there, for the veteran ceremony. I also thank Mr. Tom Mancha and Donnie Trabuco for all the work they did to make sure that that plaque was ordered, and pretty soon it's going to be put in the lobby. So that's Major Thomas Trabuco. I also want to thank Mr. Patrick Longo, who led the Board of Education retreat last Monday. Multiple issues were discussed, such as board versus superintendent responsibilities. He also stated that it's responsibility of the board to set policy, and we're here to represent all students. In addition, we're reminded that whenever we are contacted by any community members regarding any issue, we have to tell them to go to contact. More, it's not our job of board members to try to solve problems. It's important that everyone follows the chain of commands. In addition, the board must not tolerate, we should not try to micromanage. He stated that it is important for the board as well as administration that are responsible for setting up a positive culture. I want to thank Ms. Alberta Pedro for all the work she did in getting all the notes. We're really extensive. Does anybody want to add anything to my few comments? Okay, I want to congratulate RCK graduate Tyler Adams for being named captain of the U.S. national soccer team. And today he played an excellent game. The U.S. was 1-1 versus, Wales, so 1-1. They got one on a penalty kick, which was questionable, but in any event, it was questionable. I wouldn't have called it. And I know a little bit about soccer, but anyway, it was called at 86 minutes. They were winning 1-0. Anyway, here we go. And with that being said, let's go to the next item on the agenda, which is Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, President Lumia. Good evening, Board of Education, staff, members of the Wappingers community. As was stated by our board members, we had many opportunities to honor and recognize the phenomenal students that we had in the Wappinger Central School District. I was fortunate enough to attend the events that were mentioned. The Veterans Day ceremonies were absolutely phenomenal. We need to thank a veteran. We need to never forget that due to them, we have the opportunity to live in the best country in the world. I also had an opportunity to attend She Kills Monsters by Mask and Mime. Phenomenal acting. The set was great. An excellent play. Congratulations to Royce Ketchum's Mask and Mime. I also had an opportunity to attend the Little Library ceremony, and I want to thank the Girl Scouts and Olivia, one of our students at Royce Ketchum, for the outstanding work that she did on the Little Libraries, as Vice President Kelland indicated. One will be at Vassar Road, the other one will be at Sheaf Road. The 59 students in the Math Honor Society, phenomenal. Which leads me into the coming weeks as we end the 2022 calendar year. We have much that will be occurring between now and the end of December. I would ask you as our parents to continue to support our district, our students and staff, and get involved in the life of each of our 15 schools, the schools that your students go to. There are a number of performances and activities that will be happening between now and the end of the school year, and we really, really appreciate your support. In addition to that, I see our nurses sitting in the audience this evening, and I'm very, very hopeful that the agreement will be approved by the Board of Education. It has been a challenging negotiation, but I truly believe that we have come to an agreement that benefits both sides. And I want to thank the nurses, and I also want to thank our Director of Human Resources, Ms. Renee Harris, along with Mr. Zip, Assistant Superintendent for Special Education and Student Services, for all of their efforts in regards to that. And we also are looking to appoint a new elementary school principal on the agenda, and I'm going to leave that to Mr. Lumia because he does not like the way I pronounce certain names, to introduce that individual who I expect will be ratified by the Board of Education at the conclusion of the consent agenda. And before I conclude, I want to wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving to you and your families, and I want to thank you for your continued support of our student, staff, and our school district. Thank you.
Fourth point of two, Wabash Center School High School academic summary and graduation outcomes. Dr. Cardwell.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I have the pleasure to present to you the academic and data for the 21-22 school year. So this is the data from spring of last school year. We are currently in process of the implementation of the new standards at the high school level. So we have the new social studies, U.S. history regents that will be held in June. It was supposed to be offered for the first time last spring, but they delayed the implementation. So we are expecting the new framework for the U.S. history regents to be offered this June. And then math will begin the following school year. with the new standards. We are in the process right now of moving and updating all of our curriculum to meet the new standards. We have already done so at the elementary level and at the junior high school level. For the four-year graduation rates, you have on this slide information for the district, John Jay, and Ketchum High Schools. You will notice that there is 5 years of data presented here to you, so you can see a 5-year trend in graduation rate. So last year, we had John Jay at 93.4% and Roy C. Ketchum at 95.5%. On this slide, we included Orchard View as well in the 5-year trends, and Orchard View last year had a graduation rate of 91.7%. Along with the graduation data, what is also helpful is looking at the types of diplomas our students receive. So we have information for you on the number of students and which type of diploma they received for John Jay and also for RCK. For the assessment data, we have Regents data as well as advanced placement data and other testing from the College Board that we will get to a little bit later on in the presentation. So what you have received is information on the passing rates and any special appeals for the Regents exams. Last year, the New York State Education Department gave students the opportunity to make a special appeal if they scored between a 50 and a 64 on any of the Regents exam. This is because this is the first time the Regents exam was mandated for students over the past couple of years. For many of our students, this is the first time that they were taking Regents exam. So the special appeal allows students an opportunity to ease back into the standardized assessment process. So we have Algebra and Algebra 2 on this slide. You will see the number of students passing along with the percentage rates. And the same thing with geometry. For ELA, which is an assessment our 11th grade students take, we generally have a very high passing rate, and you'll notice we have a 90% passing rate for ELA and 6% with special appeals. For the global history, which is a Regents exam that many of our students take in the 10th grade, also has an 88% passing rate. For science, our junior high school students take the Earth Science Regents exam. The passing rate for Earth Science was 62%, and for Living Environment was 80%. Chemistry and physics are two of our higher level science classes, which our 11th grade and 12th grade students take for the most part. You will notice 68% passing rate for chemistry and a 94% passing rate for physics. Also, some important information to note are our course offerings. So we offer many advanced placement courses to our students. You will notice a 3-year trend of the enrollment data. We also offer many Dutchess Community College classes. We also have 3 years data on the courses that are being offered to our students. On this slide, you will see the advanced placement, the number of students that are taking exams for 5 years, and who scored a 3, 4, or 5. Typically, a score of a 3, 4, or 5, a student can receive college credit for when they apply to college. And here you have the score summary report disaggregated between the John Jay High School and Ketchum High School. I know the font here is pretty small, but I'm hoping you're able to see it on your computers a little bit larger. What's important to note when you're looking at the data that the number of students who may take an exam doesn't necessarily include all of the students that are enrolled in a particular course. So the data that's presented for the students that took the exam are listed for these number of students. So for example, 79 students took the biology exam. However, there may be many more students that are enrolled in the biology class that opted not to take the AP exam. Because taking the AP exam is not a requirement for taking the advanced placement course. For the first time, we are sharing with the Board of Education, because this is the first time this information was presented to the district, is information on all of the College Board assessments. We offer our students the SAT and the PSAT. And so this information on this slide incorporates the SAT, the AP, and the PSAT data for our students. For the performance scores, which is a average of the scores that all of our students take. So the first chart are the averages of the students in Wappingers who took the SAT and the PSAT, and you will notice the total scores. The next chart is the average of the students in New York State, and the bottom chart is all test takers. You will notice, and something that we are definitely proud of, that Wappingers has the high average for SAT and PSAT compared to the average of New York State and the all test takers. And I know I went through that data quickly, but I'm sure that some of you will have questions, and I will be able to go back to any of the slides if you need further clarification or an explanation.
Just a couple of questions, Dr. Carwell. I noticed that in Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry, that 20% in each category are between 50 and 64. What are we doing about those particular scores?
So when we looked at the trend of what our Regents exams scores were prior to COVID, we did notice that our passing rates were a bit higher. Many of this, or some of this, because we would have to conduct a root cause analysis to really determine the reasons behind it. But from our assumptions, we're looking at the fact that our students with math, a very difficult subject, very difficult to learn online, that right now we're building up the capacity of students in any math skills that they may be lacking, and/or their ability to take a standardized test. Many of these students, this is the first Regents exam that any of them have taken because it hasn't been offered in 3 years. So it's about building up any prerequisite skills they might be lacking, and that is at the beginning of each unit or the beginning of each year, really assessing the students to determine what are those instructional gaps, if any, that need to be taught to the students prior to moving on to that particular unit, and/or building up the students' capacity in how to take a standardized exam and what's expected on the exam itself.
I assume that's the same thing for chemistry, because it says 24% are between 50 and 64. So it's going to be probably the same thing, same reason?
Yes, chemistry involves a lot of math. So you really need to understand high levels of math in order to do well in chemistry. So the same would apply there, really looking at those prerequisite skills and any of those math skills that might be lacking. As you know, math really builds off of each unit and each lesson. It's very sequential. So if a student misses something or did not master something, it's important that we go back, we look to see what that is and provide them with that additional academic support.
Question, what is causing a decline in AB calculus, as well as statistics? I know there's a significant decline in the number of students taking those courses.
Yes, so I'll go back to the slide if I need to. So the AP Statistics course had a enrollment, if I can even see it up there, of 45 last year, and it dropped to 24. But if you look at the DCC Statistics course, you will see that it doubled. So our students have the option of either taking the Advanced Placement Statistics course or the Dutchess Community College Statistics course. And so we're really pulling from the same group of students, and we're providing them and their families with a choice, with an option for them to decide if they want to take the Advanced Placement route or the Dutchess Community College route.
As a comment, I think the course that we offer at the high school in both AB Calculus, BC Calculus, as well as statistics, is a lot more intensive that's offered at Dutchess Community College or in any college, in my opinion. For the simple fact, you have 40 weeks to study AB Calculus, 40 weeks to study statistics, where you only 45 hours at the college level. So I think we do a great job at the high school level. Unfortunately, if kids want to take those courses, they'll get college credit immediately. So, but I understand. I see why there's a decrease in enrollment.
Right.
And I understand why kids want to take those courses and get credit for it immediately, as opposed to get a 3, 4, 5 on the AP exam. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
John?
Actually, two comments. The first of which is thank you for just teaching us an important statistics lesson in that, which is that you can make the numbers tell whatever story you want them to tell. So thank you for asking that question, President Lumia. My other comment is that I think not only are we dealing with issues post-pandemic and online learning related, which this board and the senior staff administration has addressed many times over. But also I think importantly, we should note that some of the graduation statistics in the 2020 school year were inflated because if you showed up online, that was heavily weighted. Heavily weighted, we'll say. But that while the numbers have fallen off since 2020 in terms of the overall graduation rate, they're still above where they were in 2019. And I just want to both recognize that and encourage both our leadership and our staff to be aware of that and keep striving for that excellence that we see in the numbers.
Any other comments from any board member? Keith?
Thank you for the data. In your retrospective analysis, was there any positive trend? I know you said after COVID there was some negative, but anything positive that's not in the presentation that popped out that you can't really see totally yet because you need another year or two to say, yes, definitely this is a positive trend that took place over the past few years?
Well, in order to identify a trend, you do need a couple of years to really make sense of that data. However, I can tell you that the number of students that we have taking either honors level or college level courses has definitely increased. We are excited that we are able to offer so many advanced placement and Dutchess Community College courses to our students. And many of our Dutchess Community College courses aren't necessarily for those honor students. They are courses that your average student can take and earn the college credit for also. So we're excited at making sure we're providing all of these opportunities. And the number of courses that we offer is very beneficial to the students, and in the subject areas that we offer is very diverse.
Yes, I would agree because it showed in the SAT scores, as you mentioned, that's a really good accomplishment by all the high school teachers to have that score higher than the the state average. So congratulations to yourself and to your staff.
Cheryl?
Yes, I was also impressed with the way our students score higher than the average across the state and the nation on the SATs. But I noticed there was a big drop in the number of students taking the SATs. Is this a trend that you see going forward, possibly because of the number of schools that make it optional as part of the applications process now?
Yes, definitely. In the 2021 school year, you will see a drop because many of the students weren't able to go to testing sites in order to take it. They were very limited testing sites, so that also dropped enrollment. In addition, many of those colleges make it optional, as you said, so students aren't taking the SAT unless they're trying to get into a more prestigious institution that requires it. So students like, why am I going to take the SAT if the college that I want to go to doesn't require it, and I could be accepted without it? So yes.
Any other questions? Dr. Caldwell, thank you very much for your hard work and presentation. I really appreciate it. The board
Thank
does.
you.
Thank you.
If I could, I would like to thank Dr. Cardwell, the entire curriculum and instruction department, professional developers, our teachers, our teaching assistants, and all that are involved in the instructional program here within the Wappinger Central School District. I also take great pride in how our students did on the standardized tests in comparison to other districts in New York State. I think that's quite an accomplishment. And again, I want to thank all of our staff for their dedication and their diligence, now more than ever, at a very, very challenging time, obviously, as we have returned from the pandemic and some challenging remote learning that many people endured for the past couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you. 5.01 consent agenda. Does anybody want to remove anything from the consent agenda? Seeing none?
Yes.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry. So that would be the minutes from the last meeting of 5.07 because I was not
Okay,
in
that's okay.
attendance.
All right.
Okay.
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the following consent agenda items as stated. 5.02, 5.03, 5.04, 5.05, 5.06, 5.07, and 5.0,
5.07.
Mhm.
Excluded 5.06, 5.08. All those in favor? Motion,
Motion.
second? Marie, Cheryl? All those in favor? All those in favor? Unanimous?
Yes.
5.07.
Okay. 5.07, resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the minutes of November 7th, 2022 Board of Education meeting as stated.
Motion. Eddie, second. Peggy? All those in favor? Unanimous, abstain? And now with that being said, I'd like to make an announcement to new principal at Brinkerhoff. And I'll say the way I want to say it, Dominique Felicello. So please stand and be recognized. Good luck. She doesn't mind me calling Fenicello, but I'll call it Dominique Fenicello. Dr. Bonk wants to say a few words.
As I said earlier, congratulations to our nurses, well-earned and well-deserved. We are glad that the Board of Education and the nurses have ratified the agreement and look forward to our continued collaboration. As we all know, you're more important now than you've ever been. So I want to thank you on behalf of the school district. We look forward to our collaboration moving forward. Congratulations. Thank you.
New business, 6.01, resolution support of Cannon Hudson Valley Logistic Pilot.
Whereas the Wappinger Central School District has been informed of a proposed project to commercially redevelop 2 parcels of land located on 500 South Drive and 76 Patriot Way in the town of East Fishkill, bearing tax map grid number 13280-6356-04-587-105-0000 and grid number 13280-6356-04-606028-0000 respectively. And whereas Cannon Hudson Valley Logistics, owner LLC, Hudson Valley Logistics, the developer of such proposed project, has filed an application for financial assistance from the Dutchess County Industrial Development Agency, DCIDA, to assist in this proposed project. And whereas it is contemplated that the financial assistance being sought from DCIDA will include a pilot agreement, and whereas the district has received and reviewed the information describing the project, including the proposed schedule of revenues to be received under the pilot agreement, and whereas the DCIDA's provision of financial assistance to Hudson Valley Logistics is subject to the district's support for the project, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Wappinger Central School District supports and authorizes the superintendent to prepare and send a letter in support of Hudson Valley Logistics' application for financial assistance with the DCIDA.
Motion, Marie, second. Cheryl?
Who made the motion?
Peggy, I made the motion. Peggy, and Cheryl.
Just clarify.
Cheryl? Second. All those in favor?
Okay,
First of all, are there any discuss? I have a question before we get actually vote. Number one, just a quick question, guys. Let's act a little bit. Okay, I'm not the perfect president here. I make mistakes like everybody else. So I suggest you please stop laughing. I appreciate that. Thank you. Now, with that being said, the pilot program, the environmental science, state environmental has not approved the project yet. Does that affect the pilot at all?
The SECRA?
Yeah, the
Okay,
seeker.
so this is the same process. It's a continuing process. The fact that the district is showing support for this project is not in any way connected to whether or not the SECRA is approved or not. So if the SECRA for some reason does not get approved, there's nothing contingent that the district is therefore held liable for.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions? Eddie?
if you wouldn't mind, Ms. Crandall, could you just give some background on this particular pilot as well as the financial impact on the district over the course of the pilot? A lot of times, community members always have a lot of concerns when we enter into a pilot agreement of this nature.
Sure. So this payment in lieu of taxes, we call it a pilot, is the 500 South Drive that was referenced in the resolution. It is a warehouse. It is currently assessed at $10 million. So the district receives taxes based on that amount. A pilot is a tax reduction, but it also is to stimulate the economy. So this pilot is a phase-in. Once they do the improvements on the property, the improvements are valued at about $37.1 million. So that will raise our taxable base for that piece of property to $47.1 million. It, again, is a phase-in. We're not looking to have it have any impact on the district until the 2024-2025 school year. And it's very similar to the Amazon project. It'll be closer to where the dome was first in expected to be built.
Eddie?
Thank you.
Peggy?
Okay. I realize that these pilot projects are supposed to help the local economy. However, we should all be aware that the money not paid in taxes by a big business who manages to get these big projects is picked up by smaller businesses and residents. So although it's hopefully helps the community, in the short term, at least, it does create a greater burden on the other taxpayers because we still have to raise enough money to meet the school budget.
John?
To respectfully disagree, the tax collection net will actually increase as a result of this reduction in rate because you're increasing the tax base
From the get-go.
as the assistant superintendent stated.
In-
So you're reducing the amount that potentially could be collected on the total improvement, but without the improvement, you would have less tax revenue collected.
That's if it's just the business project is successful.
No.
If we have, if they decide to move their warehouse elsewhere, or there has been some discussion that perhaps they have overbuilt warehouses because of the assumption that everyone was going to switch to shopping on the internet with the COVID. So it is still a gamble for the taxpayers.
Again, respectfully disagree because once the assessed value of the built project is in place, that maintains
Still a graduated
the
amount.
tax base. So while it's graduated over the 15 years of the revenue that's collected, whether you agree with the practice or not, which is a completely different discussion, factually speaking, this does not shift any tax burden to individuals.
Because the first year that it is put in place, Trustee Kellen, it's already exceeding the $10 million amount of taxes we would have received in that given year. So it takes a couple of years to get it to that point, but by the time it hits the tax rolls, even at the reduced rate, it still will provide the district with more tax revenue and no impact to your local businesses.
All those in favor? Unanimous. 6.02, approval of the Community Communication Charter.
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the Community Communications Committee Charter for the 2022-2023 school year as recommended by the Community Communications Committee as stated.
Motion. Eddie, second. Peggy, any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. 6.03, approval of the revised Legislative Action Committee Charter.
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the revised Legislative Action Committee Charter as amended.
Second. Cheryl, discussion? Peggy?
I have a problem with us taking on issues that do not directly relate to the school system. Vaccinations for whatever, whether it's measles or polio, or as was suggested here, the possibility of COVID sometime in the future, are under the Department of Health. The school district, as Board of Education members, we really have no particular input to give to this since we're not experts in medical issues or public health issues. I think the Legislative Action Committee has quite enough to do to concentrate on issues that relate directly to the school, not hypothetical issues in other areas.
Cheryl?
As I explained to Mr. Lumia today, I think there's a misconception about what the Legislative Action Committee is seeking to do with adding this in. We are not looking to get involved in a political debate on the issue of vaccines. We are not going to be advocating for or against vaccines, making medical judgments. We are looking at this in the interests of the school district. This is a piece of legislation that, if enacted, is going to be different than any other vaccine legislation in terms of its impact on the schools, particularly since there's no clarification yet whether this is going to be a one-time clearance or if there are going to have to be annual boosters. My sources in Albany are also telling me that this may be followed soon by a resurrection of the bill to bring to mandate the flu vaccine yearly. What we are looking to do is look into what the impact is going to be on the school district if this legislation moves forward, both in terms of possible impact on our enrollment and also looking at our nurses out here who would have to go into the database and individually check the vaccine histories of all 10,000 plus students to see if we are in compliance. We want to look to make sure that we are fully understanding everything before this comes forward so that we're not rushing to catch up, and we would be giving you not a political statement, but updates on what the progress of the process and procedures are. The second thing that we are asking to add to our charter relates to the letter that we all received from another district. There is a piece of legislation that is looking to get more equitable funding for special education for districts that are deemed high need, low expense. Preliminary investigation has shown that we qualify as high needs because of the demographics of 6 of our buildings. I'm still looking to see if we fit in on the low expense side, and we want to be able to follow that and follow what this movement of other districts that are trying to band together behind this legislation is doing, so that we can move forward with that too.
Peggy,
Okay.
excuse me, Eddie
Go
first.
ahead.
Just these 2 additional items that we're asking for board approval are for fact-finding purposes only. This is so that we can gather as much information to share with the rest of the board as well as the community and the public. A lot of people do not follow these things until it's in the newspapers, whatever. We want to track it. We want to see where it's going. I think Ms. Trustee Miggets gave a excellent explanation as to why we want to add these 2. We're not looking to take sides one way or the other. We want to do this as a fact finding. We want to be prepared for whatever transpires if these bills happen to pass or not.
Peggy,
Then I'd like to offer an amendment to split these 2 proposals, and so that we can vote on them separately.
question beforehand?
With the first request, is there something that we're already doing with the administration or in the school district that's looking at vaccines and how it would affect funding?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. All right. So yeah, I would stand with Trustee Kellen request to modify and separate the amendment and just get more information on the first request.
Jimmy?
Am I reading this correctly, that the Legislation Action Committee wants to just monitor and not take any action towards any of these?
That is correct.
Peggy?
Fact-finding is still work by the committee, and since the committee naturally has limited time, and there are a great many issues confronting school districts on the state level, I would prefer to see them concentrate on certain issues rather than others.
And I would see, if you look at what we have listed on our goals, several of the items are things that there has not been much movement on. One item, the federal funding for special education. We will be reaching out to Congressman-elect Molinaro, Lawler, and Ryan to see if they will be on board. There won't be much more that we can do in that area because that is a federal bill. And we would be looking to meet with our local legislators to get their input on where they are heading with these and their knowledge of these other bills in Albany.
Eddie?
Thank you, Ms. Kellen, but the committee can choose to spend its time the way the committee chooses to spend its time. I understand where you're coming from, but if the members of the committee are willing to put the time in, to volunteer to get this information, to share with everybody. I think it's important. Thank you.
You get an amendment you want to?
Yes, I move that we split the two parts of this additions to the
Which
charter.
part specifically do you want?
This, I don't have here. Here we have, okay. All right, to put separate votes on monitoring new developments with A8378, which authorizes the Commissioner of Health to develop and supervise the execution of a program of immunization against COVID-19 for purposes of state aid to schools, requires immunization against COVID-19 for attendance at school, and separately from monitor any new developments with S8555, which relates to aid payable to low-spending, high-need school districts.
I'm sorry.
Vote on each bullet point.
Yeah, the two bullet points, this, obviously, this one bullet point, that's correct. That's one you want more than that?
Yeah, one,
And the other
yeah.
one is the, which other one?
This one and this one.
Just separately.
Yes, separately.
All right. All those in favor of?
We had a
I'll
second.
second it. All those in favor of, Ms. Peggy's resolution, namely
Okay.
to separate the vote insofar as 8378. All those in favor
Of separating.
of separating?
Just of separating. We're not voting on individual
Favor of separating.
items
Raise your hands.
yet.
All those not to separate? 4-4. So it doesn't pass.
Right.
Okay. Now let's go back and vote on the original resolution. All those in favor of the resolution as stated? Namely, all the bullet points of the motion? I'm sorry?
The original motion is already
To
there.
approve the legislative committee chart as stated. Motions? I make the motion second.
And we already
Motion is
moved and
made. All
seconded.
those in favor of accepting that, what do you call it? The resolution as stated. Raise your hands. All those against? Okay. Thank you. It passes. Six point oh four, second reading of adoption of policies.
Resolved that the Board of Education of the Wappinger Central School District hereby approves the second reading of and adopts the following policies based upon the first reading by the board and the recommendation of the policy committee as stated.
Motion. Eddie, second, Peggy. Discussion, all in favor? Unanimous? Okay. 7.01, board members may request additional agenda items. Any discussion, agenda? Yes,
Yes, I'd like to have an addition to the agenda.
okay. I'll second it. Go ahead.
All in favor?
All those in favor? Okay, go ahead, Peggy.
Okay. All right. I move, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby adopts the findings of fact and penalty recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools dated November 7, 2022, which endorsed the finding but modified the penalty of the hearing officer, Allison Smith, dated November 4th, 2022, regarding student number 1011562. And be it further resolved that the board president is hereby authorized to sign the board determination letter on behalf of the Board of Education, and be it further resolved that the district clerk is hereby authorized to mail the board determination letter to the students' parents.
Motion. Peggy, microphone, a second. All those in favor? Unanimous? Comments from the public? Are there any comments from the public? Seeing none, somebody make a motion to adjourn? Mike, second. Eddie? Sorry. Which one? We did that already. Yeah, no, addition to the agenda. There's only one we had to do.
Yeah, the other was in the consent
That was the consent agenda. Somebody make a motion to adjourn. Mike, second. Eddie, all those in favor? Unanimous.